Dark Shadows, number 127, VTR 121366, air 122066, take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. I have just lived through days of terror. I have been the captive of an insane, desperate man who wanted to kill me. I had given up hope of ever being rescued until a moment ago.
I'm telling you to stay away from me! No! No! Ah!
Matthew? Matthew? What's happening?
Vicky!
Burke, is that you?
Vicky! Where are you?
I'm in here.
Are you all right? Are you okay? David was right after all.
Did David tell you where I am?
Yes, but I didn't believe him. Here, use this knife. Where's Matthew?
Be careful of Matthew. He's somewhere around. He's got an axe.
You okay? Can you walk? Do you want me to carry you?
I can walk.
We're armed. Don't you worry about a thing. Look! Don't move or we'll shoot. Come quietly, Matthew. Nobody's going to hurt you. Come on. He's dead. Let's get out of here.
George, this is Elizabeth Stoddard. I'm sorry to awaken you, but you have to get up here right away. It's an emergency. David just woke me and told me the most incredible story. Matthew's on the property, and he has Vicky in the old house. Apparently, there's a room there that nobody knew anything about, and that's where he's been hiding. My brother and Burke Devlin went after him, but they haven't returned yet, and I'm terrified. Can you get up here right away and bring some men with you? Thank you, George.
Did I hear right?
Oh, Mrs. Johnson, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard voices and I was worried. I came down. I couldn't help but hear you. Is that true? That Matthew's somewhere here and has got a hold of Vicky?
That's what David said.
Well, how would David know?
It's a long story.
Well, if it's true that Matthew's got her, we won't see her again outside of a graveyard.
Johnson, please don't talk that way. I'm frightened enough as it is.
So am I. All evening long, I've felt this strange feeling, a chill in my bones. There was only one other time that I had this feeling.
When was that?
The night Mr. Malloy was killed.
Oh, Vicky, darling, you're safe. Oh, I've been frantic.
She's exhausted and she's soaking wet.
Well, give me that wet coat and take her in by the fire.
Yes, thank you.
I'll fix a pot of hot coffee.
Yes, do that, Mrs. Johnson. Roger, what happened?
Matthew very nearly killed Vicky.
Where's Matthew?
He's dead.
Did you have to shoot him?
No, we found him. It was horrible, Liz.
How did he die?
No. We don't know. We just found him there. I need a drink. Vicky, some brandy? Devlin? Yes, I could use some.
Vicky, darling, you you're white as a sheet.
I do feel a little faint.
Shall I call a doctor?
Oh, no, I'll be all right.
The sheriff is the man we ought to call. We should get him up here right away.
I've already called the sheriff. He's on his way up here.
Well, how did you know to call him?
David woke me up and told me the whole story.
Including what he's been doing? Did he tell you how he's been helping Matthew?
Yes, he told me.
Where is he now?
I sent him up to bed.
What are we going to do with this boy, Liz?
I don't know, Roger, but this isn't the time or the place to discuss it. I'm more concerned about Vicky.
I'm concerned about Vicky, too. Thanks to my charming son, she could have had her head chopped off. So take it easy.
Please, Roger. I don't want to think about it, and I don't want to talk about it.
Take it easy, will you, Collins?
I'm sorry, Vicky. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm just amazed that you escaped from being hurt.
I think the ghost saved me.
Ghost?
Yes, the ghost of Josette Collins. I saw her.
What?
Yes, she appeared to me and told me not to be afraid. And then Matthew came in with the axe. He was going to kill me. And then he stopped. Something stopped him. He went out into the other room. And then I heard screams. They weren't like any screams I'd ever heard before.
Calm down. Don't think about
I
it.
can't get them out of my head. I keep hearing them. I can't stop hearing them.
She should be upstairs in bed. She shouldn't be down here.
Come on, Vicky. I'll take you up to your room.
Mrs. Stoddard, you do believe that I saw the ghost of Josette Collins, don't you?
Yes, I believed you.
I know it sounds incredible, but it's true.
We'll talk about it later. Come on.
You believe that incredible story?
I don't know.
The girl was half out of her mind with fear. This nonsense of a ghost is probably her figment of imagination.
Well, I'd buy that if I hadn't seen Matthew's face.
What about it?
You saw it. Didn't he look like a man who'd been frightened out of his mind? Frightened to death? But who could have frightened him? He and Vicky were alone in that house. All alone. How's Vicky?
She's quieter now. Mrs. Johnson's with her. Where's Roger?
The sheriff came while you were upstairs. Roger took him to the old house. I stayed here to find out how Vicky is.
She's going to be all right. Vicky has a lot of courage.
Yes. Do you mind if I went upstairs and said goodnight to her?
Not in the least.
Thank you.
Bert,
Yes.
I should be thanking you for what you did for Vicky.
You don't have to thank me. I didn't do it for you.
Nevertheless, I'm grateful. I think of Vicky as one of the family, and her well-being is very important to me.
At least we agree about something.
You're very fond of Vicky, aren't you?
Yes, why?
How fond?
That's a personal question. Also, it's none of your business.
Vicky is my business, and so is Carolyn. You can only cause the girls trouble. Please leave them alone.
I don't take orders, especially from you.
That wasn't an order. The girls are important to me. Both of them. Don't hurt them, Bert.
What makes you think I'd listen to anything that you have to say?
Because in spite of everything, I think you are capable of feeling. And I think you're very attracted to Vicky.
What makes you say that?
I saw the way you were looking at her tonight.
That's ridiculous.
Is it?
I like Vicky, sure. I'm fond of her. I'm glad she's safe. But that's as far as it goes, as far as it could ever go. Falling for an orphan governess doesn't fit into my scheme of things.
I hope for Vicky's sake, you're telling the truth.
Burke Devlin must be very fond of you.
Why do you say that?
Well, he dropped everything when he heard you were missing. And he came right up here to the house and spent the entire night searching for you.
I could hear him searching for me that night through the wall in the old house. I was only inches away, but I couldn't cry out.
Well, he didn't stop searching. He did everything he could. And then he hired special investigators. They came up here, tramped all around the grounds. Must have cost him a fortune.
I didn't know that.
Well, of course, I don't say that I like the man, but I think in this case that you're lucky that he's on your side.
I know. I'm very grateful to him. Who is it?
Bert, may I come in for a moment?
A minute.
Hello, Burke.
I just came up to say goodnight.
Will you be needing anything more, Vicky?
No, thank you, Mrs. Johnson.
All right, I'll be in my room if you want anything. And, Mr. Devlin, there's a pot of hot coffee on the stove in the kitchen.
No, thank you. I'm on my way out.
Oh, good night, then.
Good night.
Good night. How are you feeling?
Fine. I'm quite exhausted, but as long as I don't think about tonight, I'll be all right.
Don't think about it. Put it out of your mind. Just remember you're safe.
Thanks to you and Roger. Burke, how can I ever repay you?
Knowing you're alive is payment enough. It means more to me than anything I could think of.
Does it?
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
I'm sorry I said that. Try to forget about it.
Why?
Because I say so.
Sometimes I don't understand you, Burke. I don't understand you at all.
Don't try to understand. If you did, it would be trouble. Trouble for both of us. I'd better go. Let you get some sleep. I'll call you in the morning.
All right.
Oh, just one thing. One word of advice.
What?
Get out of this house. Quit your job. Go as far away from Collinwood as possible.
Why? I'm safe now that Matthew's dead.
I have a feeling you're not safe.
What makes you say that?
This house. Things happen in this house that can't be explained.
I'm not afraid of this house. I used to be, but not anymore.
Maybe you should be afraid. Sometimes cowardice can be a healthy thing.
Well, I'm not afraid. I like my job here, and I want to stay.
What's so special about your job? You could find others.
No, I feel at home here. Burke, this is the closest thing to a home I've ever had.
I don't know what to say to you.
There's not much you can say. I'm very fond of Mrs. Stoddard and of Carolyn. And in spite of everything, I still think that I can help David. I want to stay.
You've made up your mind.
That's right, I have.
Just remember this. If you ever need anything, call me. I'll be here.
I'll remember.
Good night, Vicky.
Good night, Burke.
Yes? The sheriff and his deputies took Matthew's body to the morgue. The coroner will probably issue a report tomorrow.
Will there be an inquest?
Probably not.
Why not?
You still here? I thought you'd gone home.
No, I'm just on my way out. Why won't there be an inquest?
Well, the doctor that examined Matthew thinks he probably died of natural causes.
What does that mean? A heart attack?
That's right.
Caused by what?
That, my dear sister, we can only surmise. A severe shock to the nervous system can cause a heart attack. Matthew may have seen or heard something that shocked him so much that his heart gave out.
What could he have seen?
We may never know. Personally, I don't want to know.
Stoddard.
Vicky, I hoped you'd be asleep.
I'm dead tired, but I can't seem to get to sleep.
I was afraid that might happen. So I brought you a couple of pills. You better take them.
All right.
They'll start working in a few minutes, and then you ought to get a good night's sleep.
I hope so. I could use it.
Well, you stay in bed tomorrow and get a good rest and get your strength back.
You're very kind.
Am I? I wonder. Ever since you've come to this house, you've had nothing but trouble. Perhaps the kindest thing would be to ask you to leave.
That wouldn't be kind at all because I don't want to leave.
Can you ever forgive David for what he did?
It's not a question of forgiving him. I just wish that I could understand him.
There's no excuse for his behavior.
Well, he did tell Burke where I was, and he did try to help to find me.
Yes, but by the time Burke and Roger reached you, it might have been too late.
Well, it wasn't. I guess that I should just be thankful for that and try and forget about the rest.
I hope you can.
Ooh. Those pills are beginning to take effect. I feel a little drowsy.
Good. Now have a good night's sleep.
Oh, Mrs. Stoddard, don't go. There's something that I want to ask you. When I told you that I saw the ghost tonight, did you believe me?
Yes, I believed you.
Well, I know it sounded incredible, and maybe you thought that I was hysterical. But I wasn't. I know that I saw Josette Collins. She was as real as you are.
Don't think about it anymore.
She didn't frighten me. She was very kind to me. She told me not to be afraid. You know, I think that she was watching over me the whole time that I was there.
Perhaps she was.
And there's something else, Mrs. Stoddard.
What's that?
She looked like me.
But there's no resemblance between you and the portrait of Josette Collins.
If you look closely, there is. And the woman that I saw, well, she looked more like me than the portrait did.
What are you trying to say?
Well, that maybe she's one of my ancestors.
That would make you a Collinson. I hardly think that's likely.
Well, then why was she watching over me all the time?
I don't know, Vicky. I don't pretend to understand any of it.
There's one more thing. Have you ever seen a ghost?
No.
Well, has anyone else in this house seen one, aside from David?
There was someone who claimed to have, but that was a long time ago.
Who was it?
My great aunt, when she was a little girl.
How did it happen?
Well, she wandered away from the house one day and got lost on a deserted area of the beach. No one could find her. It was a nasty winter's day. She almost died from exposure.
Why didn't she?
Well, something like a miracle happened. A man in a fishing boat found her. It was a time of year when the boats don't go out, and an area of the beach that was never fished.
What was the man doing there?
According to the story, he hardly knew himself. He just had an urge to take his boat out that day.
But what about the ghost?
She was a woman who appeared to my great aunt just before she was rescued and told her not to be afraid.
A woman in a long white dress?
Yes.
Well, then it must be Josette Collins. She must have been watching over your great aunt, too.
That's what she thought.
Then I did see her. She does exist.
Vicky, darling, you're half asleep. Don't fight it. Close your eyes.
She does exist. She does.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. Good night.
She does exist.
On behalf of our sponsors, we would like to wish you a very happy holiday season. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.